All right, guys, welcome back to the channel and thanks for dropping by. In this session, I'm going to give a brief demonstration on the brushes that were included in the Madball Madness demo, and I'll show you a few techniques you can use and show you how you can get some interesting results with those brushes. I've updated the kit. We're at 2.7 now, and before I get into the actual demonstration, I'm just going to walk quickly through the installation and setup process for you guys who are absolute beginners out there. I know around this time of year, Affinity has a sale, so a lot of people pick up the software that are new to it, and so I'm just gonna do that. It should only take like 2 or 3 minutes. Let's get into it. The first thing we want to do is we want to tap the plus symbol to create a new document, and then tap New from Template. So I've already got my folder here ready to go. So just find your Madball Madness download folder, and this is what the inside of the folder stack looks like. Just open up the templates folder and then tap on the Quick Kit Mini template. And there you go. We've got a new untitled document ready to go. Before we get into the template itself, let's install the brushes and the assets. To install the brushes, go over to Pixel Persona, open up the Brush Studio, and then at the top in the Options menu, select Import Brushes. We'll go back to our folder, and let's do the Thank You brushes first. These are some pattern brushes I created. I'm going to actually demo this stuff in a different video. The brushes that we will be focused on are these Quick Kit Mini 2.7 brushes. I upgraded it to 2.7, made a lot of changes. The 2.4 brushes are still there for you guys if you want to use that setup. But yeah, here we are. Now, we've also got some seamless paper assets we want to import. I'll go to the Asset Studio, and then again, I'll import category. Go to the Assets folder. Here. We don't need to try and import the palettes because the palettes are already installed in the template as document palettes. You've got 4 different palettes for you to choose from here. We got crayons, markers, a cartooning palette, and of course my favorite, the YRB 64 color palette. So yeah, that is, everything is all installed and you're ready to go. Now, I'll give you just a brief demonstration of how this paper texture situation works, and I'll show you how to use the assets and set them up. If we open up the layer stack, you'll see I've got an ellipse here with a gradient. We've got a little field there for your, your sketching and drawing, and then we've got these 2 paper texture assets. You'll see that the one on the bottom is just normal, and what it is it's duplicated and moved to the top, and I've added some adjustment layers to it so that I can get this nice screening effect. And you'll see if I zoom in on the ellipse here, basically this is just drawing out the highlights in the texture, and it makes it seem as though the drawing has been actually drawn or painted on the paper, and it gives it a much more analog sort of look. Now, I'll show you how to use these seamless paper assets. Let's get rid of this stuff. I'll delete these, okay? And we'll open up the Asset Studio, and what I've got here are 4 seamless artboards and 4 seamless watercolor papers that I've created. If I basically, let's see, let's just bring in another watercolor paper texture. I will bring in this one. We'll just tap it, hold it, drag it onto the canvas, and there you go. Now, if I select the Move tool, you'll notice in the layer stack that this is a rectangle, which means it's a vector object. But what I've done is, if I go back to Designer Persona and grab the Fill tool, it is filled with a seamless paper texture, and I can adjust it. I can zoom in and I can zoom out, and I'll always have this nice seamless texture. Now, there are limits. If you zoom too far out, it gets lost, and sometimes it gets a little bit, you can start to see the repetition, but for the most part, if you keep it at a reasonable size, you'll get a nice fill. You can also use these on different size canvases. So for example, if you have like a much larger size canvas, you can drag this out and then just select your texture here or your gradient fill, and you can still, you know, have the texture the way you want it, and you can adjust it and zoom in, zoom out however you like. Okay, I'm going to delete that. We'll bring in another one. Let's see, what's this one? Oh, this guy's really rough. Where's the original one? I'll bring the original one back. There we go. All right, so you'll see that this one, once I get it settled the way I want it, we've got some, it sort of has a coloration to it, right? Well, what I want to do is I want to get rid of that. I'm going to add an adjustment layer to it. I'll add a black and white adjustment layer to it. That sort of neutralizes the color information. Once I have that ready, I'll just grab that adjustment and just nest it inside the rectangle like so. Now, remember, I've already got my texture set exactly how I want it here with the gradient fill tool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this. Oops, sorry. Pull this one up above, and we'll add a few more adjustments to get it just right. What we're going to do is we're going to add a brightness and contrast adjustment. We're also going to add a curves adjustment. And what I want to do is I'm going to take these all and nest them inside just as I did with the other, right? First, the first step is I'm going to tap on the brightness and contrast. I'm going to just tank the brightness all the way down to -100. And I'm going to jack the contrast all the way up to 100. Yeah? The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to double tap on that curves adjustment, and I'll look at the spine. Usually on a gray image like this or a black and white image, there's just one single spike, right? If I drag the bottom closer to the base of the spike, I get a darker darks. And if I drag the top closer to the top of the spike, I get lighter lights. So you can sort of adjust and further the brightness and contrast. And that's what that's all about. I like to take it and about right there should be fine. So then, now that I have this, I will go in and set the layer mode to screen. And you'll see it gives me that nice highlight again. It's a little bit too pronounced. What I'll do is I'll just drop the opacity down to something like, I don't know, 50%. For now, something like that. And there you go. You've got your nice highlight, and it's not brightening or it's not affecting the color too much or fading the color too much. So yeah, find the right settings for what you're looking for, but depending on each paper texture, and play around with it. This is they're meant to be, experimentation is the key, I think, if you want to find exactly what you're looking for. But these textures are there for you. You can use them on any size canvas. The paper textures are seamless, and yeah, they'll give you a nice paper texture to paint on, so that you can get this nice analog look from the piece that you're working on. All right, guys. Now I'm just going to give a little demonstration of all the brushes. I've got a new document started with the basic template in place. I'm going to get rid of this little example sphere or ellipse here, and we'll just jump right into the brushes and how they work. I'll start with the Ultimate Limnifier Special Editions here. These brushes were meant to emulate, they're the latest evolution of the Limnifier. I've got a brand new nib on them, and I've tweaked the settings. I've tried to make this sort of emulate what I do with real blue color pencils in my sketch pad. That's how I usually draw. That's kind of like my natural state of drawing analog. Is I like to draw with blue color pencils. I'll buy them like, in bulk at the store, just light blue and dark blue. And then what I usually do is, for example, I'll come in and let's just draw like some kind of creature. I don't really know what I'm drawing here. I'm just kind of doing it. Basically, I'll draw with light blue. And then I think I'm channeling like some Satoshi Matsuura for this one. I'm probably definitely channeling that great, amazing artist for this situation. But yeah, I'm just trying to draw like a creature. I don't know what I'm going to do about his legs. Um, um, anyway, let's just stick with the head for now. I'll just keep it simple. Let's see. Sorry, I want to go this way. There we go. That's pretty cool. That's more Satoshi's Satoshi. That's what he would do. Okay. Uh, yeah, and then maybe the nostrils are here. Okay. So I've got this weird little creature here. Basically, how I draw in real life is like I would come in with my light blue color pencils, and then I would, kind of go over the top of it, with my dark blue, and sort of start to work out the values and the you know the details and the line weights for the inking and things like that. This is how I draw in real life, and that's what these pencils are meant to emulate. Now, they've got some interesting dynamics. I've tried to make it to where it comes out like a real pencil. It's not the limnifiers of the past that I've made. They tend to sort of flow out like an airbrush or they're like liquid, like a pen almost. But and I was into that for a while, but these days I'm looking for a more analog experience when I'm drawing. What you can do is, because of the way that I've got the size variance set on this thing, you can tap force pressure and it'll give you much more resistance. You'll have to add a little pressure, but it also gives you a much thinner, sharper line. So like, for example, let's just look at it. Like I'll draw right here. This is, I'm applying almost no pressure and I'm getting this nice line. If I apply pressure, I get a really dark color out of it. But then when I do force pressure, I get a really thin, sharp line. And if I press down, I'll still get that dark color, but I'll get a much sharper point, as if I was drawing with a mechanical pencil or a freshly sharpened pencil. That's what I was after with these blue color pencils, or this special edition of the Limnifier. So that's kind of where I was going with the lim. Hold on, I want to finish my little sketch here, because we're gonna apply some color. We're gonna ink it. We're gonna see where we can take this little guy. I don't know. It seems he's kind of like crouching up. I don't know if these are hind legs or what, but I kind of like what I've got here so far. It's like, maybe he needs some design, like a tree frog sort of design, something like this. Like, you know how tree frogs have that kind of cool thing on their bellies? Maybe he has that too. Does he have teeth? I don't feel like he needs teeth. What if he had like vampire fangs? No, that's just weird. Okay. Does he have an overbite? Nah. He's got like a bill of some sort. It's like a bill. Okay. All right. We're good. This creature's good. We're moving on. Let's get him centered. Okay. Cool. Moving on. Oh, so yeah, I've got a black one for you as well. This is, man, I really appreciate all you guys who swooped in and scooped this thing up. It really helped me. I really appreciate it. That was really nice of you guys. I hope you guys are enjoying all this stuff. I'm working to make sure that it was worth it. So yeah, this one is, while these are image brushes, this one is just a standard brush. So what's cool about this is that I realized that this thing makes a great color pencil, and like I'll demo that for you real quick. Like, we'll go in here. I want to take this down a little bit. For example, you can get in with some colors. Let's see, list mode. We'll go in here with this guy right here. let's go to cartoons. So say you want to use this like a color pencil, and you know, it really works great as a color pencil. You can go in and you can get darker color if you want, and you can layer it up like you could in real life. And if you really, really want to like go even further with that, change the mode to something like average. Um, Average will it's like a slightly powered down. It's like slightly powered down multiply, right? But what it does is it will average and blend the colors as they're overlapping, and this is sort of similar to how it might function in real life. So you can get some really neat stuff doing things this way if you want to keep it sharp. But what you can do is you can also increase the size to something like 15, and you can get these nice big broad fields of color as if you were actually coloring this thing in with color pencils. And you can layer up your colors and blend them. And over the last couple of days, I've been doing this myself. I've been playing with these things as though they were real color pencils, especially this one. And yeah, I realized I don't know why I haven't done this in the past, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. You know, you can get in and do some fun stuff, blending some colors and really getting some cool sort of looks and effects. So that's one thing you can do. I've really tried to make this as close to a real color pencil as I can. But yeah, to get that sort of blending effect, just go into your settings and turn the blend mode to average. I'm actually going to leave mine on average now. Yeah, the erasers. The penultimate nullifier has been in all of my kits thus far. It's just, you know, basically it's a soft edged eraser, and oops, when we erase with it, it's meant to sort of mimic like the, you know, like kneaded rubber, as if you were going in really softly on the edges with some kneaded rubber, trying to sort of, you know, get it, just some really light erasure going. And then this one is of course just a basic round. You can get in and just do your erasing, and it's really hard, and it gives you a really hard edge when you erase. Of course, a lot of you guys are probably familiar with that. You can also turn on force pressure if you want to get, like, you know, if you want to erase as though it were like an inking brush. That can come in handy, especially when you're inking something. So you can get these nice fine erasers like that. So that's what those brushes are all about. Let's talk about the inkers. So there used to be some basic rounds in this kit, but I removed them, and I thought, man, wouldn't it be cool? I was like, I don't know, it just hit me the other day. I was like, man, my ultimate limnifiers are image brushes, and you never have to worry about changing the color. And I was like, man, that is one of the things that bothers me. It's like every time I want to ink, you know, I've got to go and set my color to black and worry about that. And sometimes I mess up and I don't, and I start inking with white or whatever the previous color was. And I realized, I was like, isn't it cool? Like I can just grab this brush and it'll always be black, and it'll always give me a nice crisp black line. So that's what I did. I made some image based inkers. These are a sort of a new twist on one of my old rough inkers. It's got 8 new nibs on it. They're a really funky shape, and what it does is I wanted it to sort of emulate like a slightly unsteady hand. What I'll do is I'll just get in here. Oops, sorry, that's my eraser brush. Wait just a minute. I'll put my eraser to this brush. We'll come in. We'll grab this guy right here. So yeah, like you'll notice also that these are the brushes are set without any size variance attached. They give you a static line like this. And if we go through all of them, I'll just go from the top to the bottom. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if we take a really close look at the lines, the nibs rotate and spin in such a way where it leaves these little notches, slight notches on the line. And to me, I feel like it really looks as though I'm inking on some artboard or some watercolor paper, and it gives this impression that of a slightly unsteady human hand. I really like the look that they leave behind these marks. So I was really happy with it. And again, you'll notice that my color in the swatch panel is purple, but it doesn't matter because this is an image-based brush. It'll always ink black. You never have to change the color to black. I think that's really cool. I'm going to be making a lot more of these, actually. They have disadvantages, though, and I'll just go ahead and tell you right now. The disadvantage is you can't use these brushes as erasers. Because they are image-based brushes, what happens is, well, why don't we just demonstrate it? I'm going to come in here. I'm going to just draw this little circle out. And let's just fill it with black. Okay. Now watch what happens when I try to erase with this brush. Because it is an image-based brush. Oops, sorry. Oh, sorry, something's wrong there. Yes, it will not let me erase with this brush. It's let's try it one more time. I'll go in. Oops. All right. So say I want to erase. It gives you a hard time trying to erase. It doesn't know quite what to do. And sometimes it'll actually give you this weird error where it's like sort of, it takes these little pixels, or sometimes it takes like a whole square chunk out, but basically you can't erase with these brushes. Okay. So that's the deal. If you try to, you'll get this or something else. It won't work. Okay. So that's the drawback of these brushes. But what you can do, you can ink with them, and even though they are static weight, they have a static weight, right? Let's reset the eraser to this. Okay. Sorry. Even though they have a static weight, when I want to ink with them, so it's like I can get in here and I can ink with this thing as though it were like a micron pen or something, right? You can turn on force pressure and you can start to get nice flowing weighted lines like so. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoy these brushes. I really I feel like I had like a sort of a moment of clarity one day. When I was creating them, I was like, oh, these are really cool. I can. There's no limits to what I can do with these brushes. Man, I think I need some more of this ice Americano here. All right, let's just keep going. I want to get this bad boy inked up so I can show you some color stuff. Just trying to get a basic outline going right now. Yeah, I don't know. These days my inspirations are all over the place. I've been looking at a lot of old comic stuff lately, but I've also been looking at a lot of like sort of modern sort of illustrator, and yeah, I would say that Satoshi Matsura has got to be up there in my top 10. He's like, there's something just incredibly pleasing about that dude's artwork. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just a big fan. I think it's real cool. We'll worry about the color part later. Yeah, maybe maybe we maybe we just use the ink to sort of describe the form here. I don't know. It's like this thing. I want to know what its skin feels like. It doesn't look like a creature that is particularly wet. It's like it almost looks as though he's like sort of a dry creature. I don't know where he lives. Does he live in like the sand or the desert, or like is he like a jungle faring creature? Usually, like, your jungle creatures are sort of they're always in that state of being finely misted by the humidity. Um, I don't know. I don't even know what this creature's legs look like. All right, that's good enough for me. And maybe I'll go in and get a little bit more value, like or weight here and here and here. Yeah, that should be okay. That should be good. We'll just call it a day right there, and then maybe I'll just put a little bit of weight under the eye here. Okay. Okay. That's good. All right, moving on. Let's get another pixel layer in here, and now we can start to talk about the colors and stuff. So just below the inkers, we've got good old Mr. Flats McGee here. And Mr. Flats McGee is but a lowly, simple flatting brush. Oops, do I have another layer set out there? Yeah, okay, cool. This guy will get the job done super fast. If you're trying to make a quick work of your flats, you can simply come in like this, do a really rough job, and then with your paint tool or flood fill tool, come in, set the tolerance appropriately, oops, and fill the field. I will switch over to this color and fill the field, and there we go. We got a nice solid fill. You can come back and clean up the areas that you have sort of failed to do properly. What's great about this brush, what I've done is it's a basic round, right? But if you go in to the settings, I will just show you, I've got a custom wet edge set on this thing, and they're set to off by default. But what it is rather than have the brush set to multiply, I've opted to give it this custom wet edge so that you can go in and you can get a sort of a subtle multiply effect when you use another color. Like right now, nothing's happening, right? But you see here, I'm getting like a slightly transparent look rather than the solid opaque look. So what I can do is I can grab a darker color, and for example, rather than coming in here with like just a solid color like this, I can choose to sort of tone it down a little bit and get more of a kind of a marker look with it, which is kind of neat. And I actually really prefer this. I feel like it gives you a lot of options as far as blending colors and building up colors, and sort of it allows for a little bit more play. I don't know. And really at the heart of it, what these quick kits are all about is like sketching and experimentation and having it to where you don't have to sit here and do this. You know? Like that's where my mind is at when I create a brush kit. It's like I want to make it to where I never have to leave this panel. And that's kind of where I'm going with it every time I sit down to sort of create. So yeah, if you engage wet edges on Mr. Flats McGee here, you will get the option to sort of treat it as though it were a marker. Yeah, which can be super cool. But when you want to go in and do some other colors or some solid colors, you have that option. Yeah, and that's basically it for Mr. Flats McGee here. And of course, I'm not bothering to throw any of this stuff on other layers. I'm just kind of grooving. You can adjust the size a little bit. Do what you want to do. Oh, I feel like that needs to be a darker color. Like I keep asking myself, like it's like a mantra that I've got in my head right now. Like it's kind of like, what would Satoshi do? This is kind of silly, but yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking right now. I need like a yellowish green. We'll put some. And then, of course, if you want to get some interesting marks on the page, don't neglect the don't forget that you can put some forced pressure on the brush so that you can get a nice tapered edge. And you can go in and you don't have to get these big fat round marks every time. You can sort of draw with it and sort of get some details like that. So yeah, forced pressure will give you a sharpened edge you can use to go in and sort of create the marks that you want to create. Like so. All right. And yeah. The Glazer blade, this is a special case. What this guy does is it basically, let's turn this off real quick. Glazer blade is meant to behave as a watercolor glazer brush, but it has a built-in hue shift which you can utilize to create color blends. And what I want to do is I want to show you the color wheel here. I will go back to my swatches and I'll start with this green that we started with earlier. Okay, I'm gonna put a new pixel layer down and I'll select Mr. Glazer blade here, and I'll show you sort of how it's meant to be used. It comes out like this, like a watercolor brush or a marker that's very well laid down. It's very even and smooth, right? But as I apply pressure, watch what happens. I get a subtle hue shift. And what's cool about this is that this brush is set to multiply. So once I get done laying down my initial glaze, right, like this, I'm coming in and I'm just laying down different colors at will. I can go back, start again, and I can have that secondary hue involved in the glaze as well. So when I apply pressure, let me just take it off to the side here so you can see. No pressure, pressure. No pressure, pressure. So I can sort of layer up my colors as though the colors were slightly blending on the page, like watercolors might, and use it as either a marker or a watercolor brush. And then I feel like it works extremely well with colors that are a bit on the darker side. You got to be careful when you make your mark, because you will blend the colors in ways that you don't want. But again, these brushes are mostly about experimentation and things like that. Now, you're like, Rob, this is great, but this is a mess. Well, that's where Cloudy Clyde and Sriracha sauce come in. Cloudy Clyde and Sriracha sauce are like blending brushes. Cloudy Clyde will give you this nice, like sort of cloudy blend. When you switch over to the smudge brush, and I'll select good old Cloudy Clyde here, the flow and the strength are defaulted at 50, but personally, I always jack them up to about 75, and it works really well from that point to blend out the colors. So all you gotta do is just nice back and forth motions sort of blending the color. I always try to sort of blend it around the contour, and you blend it where you need it. You don't have to blend the hard edges out completely. Just blend them out where you need them to be sort of out, and you can get some really interesting results. No, I'm not bothering to go out and clean my edges up yet because I'm still doing all the blending and stuff. But this is what Cloudy Clyde's all about. Cloudy Clyde, Jesus, Cloudy Clyde is all about blending out these colors that you mix with the glazer blade. So these are sort of a team, right? You come in with your glazer blade, you lay down your colors, and then you go in with Cloudy Clyde, and you get your sort of watercolor effect. Sriracha sauce is, well, those of you who've studied art know who Sriracha is, but basically it's meant to give you sort of a spotty thing. This brush is also can be used. This brush can also be used as a pressure shader, but primarily when I started messing with it, I was trying to make this the ultimate blender. I'm trying to show, or ultimate smudge brush. Let's see if we can get a good look at it. I'll increase the size a little bit. Check out how it. Oh, by the way, you bring the strength down on it quite a bit on this one. So like the 50/50 default setting on this one is probably a bit more appropriate. Cloudy Clyde needs a little bit more juice. So we bring it back down to 50 for this one. And what you can do is you can get these nice sort of, it's picking up the white from off the canvas, but you can get these nice like sort of skin effects. Like I was like, how do I want a textured smudge, I want a textured blend. So I thought a pressure shader would work really nicely to create a nice sort of blender. So notice how when I pull up from the light colors into the black colors and then I just go back, and it's like a little dance, You can get this really subtle kind of skin effect here by like this. Going in sort of like that. If you go too far with the lights, you can always come back and sort of do it like that. So yeah, guys, that is the deal with that. And then, for example, say I want to do some pressure shading with this brush, I can just go in and, like, for example, I'll throw another layer down. Just sort of quarantine a little area here for my pressure shading. And then maybe like that dark green. I guess this dark green will work fine. Maybe something a little darker like this. And then come in and then it sort of blows up in size as you apply pressure. You can adjust the settings however you like. In fact, what I'll do is I'll just come in and show you, like, if you want a more even size dynamic on it, just make sure you hit none. Okay, and then I'll take the size way down, like, I don't know, 100, or let's try 99. Yeah, there we go. You can get a nice pressure shade from that. I'll do it. We'll work over here for a second. Like, just like that. I feel like it took me a while to get the settings right on that one, but I feel like I nailed it in the end. So there's that. All right. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about another way you can use this stuff. Now these last brushes here are, well, let's see, where's this? Yeah, this guy right here, Teardrops in the Rain. Basically, it's a glazing brush, but it has this. It's a dual brush. It's got a sub brush in it that basically erases parts of it. So if I wanted to go in and what I wanted out of this brush was this like I'm glazing this thing with really, really thick, wet gouache. And that's kind of what this brush is all about. It's like it's not as transparent as a lot of the other brushes. And it has this eraser brush in it that sort of leaves like a puddly mess behind, which is kind of what I was going for with this brush. So yeah, you can layer up your colors like that and sort of get a nice sort of effect there. And you got to be careful with this one though. If you get you're going to have to really watch it with your brush strokes, because if you try to go in there with a blender, you're going to destroy the effect slightly. For example, if I go in with Cloudy Clyde, you'll start to deteriorate that like nice crisp bubble effect. You got to be careful, but you can go in with a blender. You're not completely, yeah, like that. You're not completely lost, but just be careful when you use it. You'll get like it'll get real muddy, and you'll lose all the nice those cool little places where the teardrops have fallen on the glass, so to speak. Yeah, cool. So there's that. Okay. What else do we got? Oh, so these last three brushes, we're nearing the end. These last three brushes, these are texture glazers, right? You can use them in a lot of different ways. You can use them to glaze with like a color. So for example, if you wanted to glaze with like this orange color or something like that, you can go in, oops, sorry, wrong brush. You can go in and get like you can use them as a glazing brush like this, right? So you could go in and perhaps add color, to something, and it'll have this texture. But that's really not the way I intended them to be used. And the reason this has a disadvantage is this. I can layer this up, and it's got this wonderful texture. But the thing is the minute I try to attack this with a smudge brush, the texture is lost. It starts to get muddy and cloudy, and the effect is broken. But what you can do, which is amazing, instead of that, for example, let's say I've got this guy here, this flat color area. Now what I'll do really quickly is I'll go in with Cloudy Clyde. I think I'm already on that brush. Nope. Okay. I'll go in with Cloudy Clyde, and I'll sort of clean up my little my blends here. Yeah. So I've got that. Now what I can do is I can go in, add another layer, right? Change the color to white. Oops. Grab my texture brush that I want to use. I'll grab this one right here. And on this new layer, just do a nice thick coating. Oops, sorry. Just do a nice thick coat of white on the new layer. Okay. Then what I'll do is I'm going to change this to overlay and simply make it a child layer of my original color layer. And now I've got this really nice texture to whatever it is I'm coloring or drawing. And I can sort of adjust the strength of that if I want, or keep it really luminescent like that. Yeah. I'll just give you a preview of each one. Let's just, I'll do two more. I'll set these to overlay mode, and I'll go in with the white, and I'll show you what they look like. There's that one. And then here. And it does tend to brighten up the color a little bit, but you can drop that down, and you can sort of Play with it, and don't be afraid to play with other blending modes. I just happen to enjoy this particular blending mode, but you can use these in all sorts of ways. Multiply has a darkening effect, of course, but the texture gets kind of lost, right? Because it's very fine texture. Um, yeah, lighten and screen, you'll give you that near white sort of situation. And the thing is, you can always choose to use a different color. For example, let's do one more. Let's do one more in a different way. I'll put a I'll go dark with it. I'll get like a dark blue, and we'll get in here and we'll do a dark blue glaze with this. Oh, actually, I'm going to change the brush. Let's get something with quite a bit more texture to it. Yeah, there we go. Something like that. You know, check out what happens when you play with the layer modes on this one. You can get all kinds of really neat effects. Yeah. So experiment with that. That's what they're for. But these brushes are not. I wouldn't typically use them to. If you, for example, if you wanted to glaze with them, you know, you could turn on force pressure, and you could just go in and on the layer itself, and you could sort of get really fine small tip on it, and you could go in and glaze with it if you wanted to. But you know, because of the texture, it's like they really stand out apart from everything, so you'd have to be careful while you're using it, and when you blend it out or layer it up, it's going to become a problem when you try to blend. That's the whole thing with these texture brushes. They've got a really cool effect of putting down texture, but the moment that you try to blend that texture out, you'll lose the effect, and it's kind of pointless, and it kind of looks bad. It gets really cloudy. Yeah. So yeah, try it this way. Try laying down your color fields and then going in with your texture like that with a blending mode, and it can really lend a lot of character to the piece, and it has the effect of looking like it's really like sort of dried up watercolor, which is really neat. So yeah, other than that, I've thrown a splatter brush in here for you because you know splatters just make you feel good. Oops. My brain is faster than my hands. Yeah, throwing some splatters in here makes you feel good. Uh, this splatter brush, I'm so proud of it. I to get the actual splatters, I must have used a toothbrush and a paintbrush, and I just went ham on a bunch of pieces of artboard, and I scanned them. And this brush has so many different nibs, and they're all set to random, so you always get like an interesting and different result. It doesn't look static or stale. It really looks pretty neat. So yeah, that's the old splatter brush there for you. Let's see. What do I want? Do I want to have that? Let's just. I've already spent about 40 minutes on this, but yeah, I'm gonna. Oh, you know what? Here's another thing you can do, guys. This is just another idea about how you can use this stuff. For example, say you want to get really wicked with it. You can, guys, you can use your vector tools in combination with raster tools. I've showed this in several other demonstrations before, but I'll just go ahead and show it in this one here as well. You can, for example, I'll just use whatever. A rectangle is fine. I'll put down a vector layer. You can get some wicked gradients using the gradient tool. For example, if I pull out this square here, I'll use my gradient fill tool. Let's say I want to create like this really wicked, like sort of nighttime gradient on this guy. So I'll just come in here with a bunch of different colors. Oh, that is crazy. That's pretty cool. But maybe it's not dark enough. Maybe it needs to be a little bit darker. I'm just going crazy, guys. I'm just going nuts. I'm not really thinking too hard about it. In fact, let's whoa, that is a little bit crazy there, buddy. Let's whoa there. All right. There we go. That's pretty neat and interesting. Maybe I need some green in my life. And let's just bring it down to it's a little bit darker. All right, this is pretty wacky. Okay, cool. So what we can do with this is I can duplicate this to save it. You know, I can also add this weird gradient. Maybe I want to save it. You know, I'll just add a document palette or an application palette, and I'll just save it. Now it's saved for posterity in case I mess up. I can rasterize this. I can go in now that it's a pixel layer, grab my Cloudy Clyde brush, and start to really get funky. Oops. Start to really get funky with the old blending and smudging. Yeah? Once I've got that blend and smudge just the way I want it, you know, the first thing I can do is I can come in here with a freehand selection tool, and if I wanted to, I could get exact, but you know, I like to always leave myself a little bit of room until I'm ready to edit, make my final edits. Just go in here like this. Yeah, cut it and paste it. And then now I've got my color field there, and I can go in. And then if maybe this needs a little help, I'll add another pixel layer, and I'll go in with my white and my texture brush, and I'll give it a nice treatment. Yeah. Pull it inside, set it to overlay, and there we go. Now I've got this really great sort of color to start. Now I can go in on top of that and have some fun. Maybe I set this to multiply, come in with some other brushes, maybe grab good old Glazer blade over here and just go to town. Yeah. Who knows? I don't know what I'm trying to do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's go with an opaque. Let's go with a little Flats McGee on this one. Add another layer. Get that eye. Is that yellow the eye? That's not my yellow. Where's my yellow? What is my yellow? Maybe it's not even yellow anymore. Maybe this guy has an orange eye. That'd be cooler, wouldn't it? And then maybe he has like a sort of a like this. All right, guys. I started to ramble a little bit there at the end and started to experiment a little bit more, and things just sort of spun out of control. So the ending was a bit botched there. But anyway, you know, listen, guys, I hope you could observe some interesting ways to use these brushes. And again, you don't need these brushes to apply these techniques with other brushes. So I hope you were able to learn something. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And most of all, I hope all you guys out there are having a Merry Christmas. And I also hope you have a Happy New Year. Want to say thanks to everybody for helping me get to 1,000 subscribers. I really appreciate it, you guys. I hope to make a lot more videos in the new year. And yeah, you guys stay warm, stay safe, take care of your friends and family, keep working hard, keep being creative, keep fostering your affinity. You guys, we'll see you out there next time. Cheers.